If you want to reduce churn and add upsell, cross-sell revenue to your company, this video will help you do just that. So most company today is doing what I call the old way of customer retention. And typically this will have two kind of customer engagement. One is we call them the technical touch, low touch motion, and the other one is high touch with human touch. Okay, so for the technical touch or low touch motion, a customer purchase your software or your product usually will be handled by a reactive support team or a growth marketing team. And they don't have any human interaction with you for maybe 11 months of time. And month 11 comes around the corner, you'll hear from them and they will be like, hey, customer, I'm your new account manager that you haven't met yet. But your renewal is next month. So let's book some time and chat. Does this sound familiar? Have you had this kind of experience before? I'm sure it leave a bad taste. Now, this kind of approach creates a terrible customer experience that's going to haunt your company's growth forever, long term or short term. Because why? Customers feel like they are not being cared, they're not being heard, and they're being not being treated as a human being, but a number, the ATM machine that's only remembered when it's time for another withdrawal. So that's not going to help the company long term at all. Secondly, this approach is super reactive. During the customer's journey, there will be times and places they don't know how to use a certain product, they are frustrated with something else. You are not there to listen. You're not there to solve the problem. And their needs will be evolved and growing, and you're not there to know that you could actually solve the evolving needs with the potential upsell and cross sell. So too bad you miss out on the best timing to prevent churn and solving customers' evolving needs with upsell and cross sell. Now, some people might say, hey, upsell and cross sell is not that common. Our goal is just to keep the customer happy and renew. That's a myth. Typically, customers will prefer to consolidate vendors because today every company has so many products that they use. It's a nightmare to manage all of them. It will be much better to have way less vendors and consolidate them. So being able to proactively upsell and cross-sell is a way to prevent churn. I'll tell you more about that with example later on. All right, let's look at the high touch motion, where human touch motion. Your customers, when they finish purchasing a product, will be handled by a dedicated customer success team or a pool success team. And this kind of team is usually measured by a metric called NRR, net revenue retention. This is great. At least you are measured by a metric that the CEO and CFO care about. And it's also one of the key metrics to hype up your company valuation. So based on a BASMA venture partners study, a 1% increase in NRR is correlated to a 0.7x of company valuation. So this is huge. But problem is NRR is the end result, is not forward leading. So in the attempt to find forward leading, this whole industry has trying to find where can I find forward leading indicator of churn, so save them before it happens. Because today I've talked to 400 B2B companies, and every CS leader you talk to, the main reason they'll be like, oh, the reason why our customer left us is because our champion left the company, lost budget, low product usage. That's not really the truth. The true reason is the customer did not receive value. The problem is no one today is measuring the value your customer think they receive. Okay, let's look at currently in the industry, what are some of the ways people trying to find early leading indicators. And these are the four common ones that the current industry is the old ways of doing it, the status quo. And each of them have some flaws on it. So the most common one is product usage. The belief is that if they use your product, they must love it. And that is totally a myth. So product usage is very useful only to find out customers who are not using your product at all. Okay, if they're not using your product, you're screwed no matter what, right? But it's not very helpful when the customers are using a lot of your products and a little bit of your product. To give you an example, I was using a product, a competitor to a Gong, which is a video recording company, and according to their product usage chart, I was a top 5% user in their usage rank. And when I churned, they're really surprised. Like, why did you churn? Your product usage is so good. Exactly. Why did I churn? Because I did not receive value. Now, I don't want to spend 6 hours a day listening to calls every day. And the fact I told them about this, I wanted some features. They didn't listen. They didn't change. I feel like I'm not being heard. I'm not being cared. I'm not receiving the value I was expected. So, bye. Here I go. Okay, so that's why product usage is not a good indicator for that. There are some cases where product usage is not existing. For example, if your company's product is on premises, you don't have product usage data. It does not exist. Okay. What about some products where I'm sure you probably heard about a company called Clearbit, which embedded directly into your CRM. That you cannot use product usage to indicate churn because your product usage is going to look perfectly because if they live there, it doesn't matter if you use it or not, that it's there um, until the day you rip them out. So you can rely on product usage alone to predict churn. Okay, how about the second way, customer success feelings? Okay, customer success managers' feelings. Most people will say, well, our customer success managers talk to customer all day long. They know our customer, they will know. Okay, so how does the customer success manager know if the customer is going to churn? Well, besides looking at the product usage that might be applicable, reliable, or available, their other way to know whether or not the customer will churn is by hosting these QBR meetings, quarterly business review, which is a way, sometimes a readout of, oh, your current product usage is this. By the way, here we have something. So these meetings are very reactive. They're not very valuable. The customer doesn't like to attend them. CSM, it's very difficult for CSM to schedule it, so it's not very reliable. And honestly, not every CSM can, read between the lines. Not every CSM can ask the right question to figure out whether or not the customer have a risk. So if you are a CRO predicting your renewal revenue forecast and relying on CSM feeling, you're going to have a lot of surprise. Okay. What about NPS, Net Promoter Score? And typically you hear NPS, it's the question you ask once a year or twice a year. How likely are you going to recommend XYZ company to your friends and family? Um, no offense, but NPS is designed for B2C companies. And we have known in the B2B world, NPS is not actionable. With NPS going up and down, what are you going to do about it? I mean, you can gain NPS to make it look good, but it's not going to move your retention needle at all. Also, it's not a continuously metric. It's a one-time stamp of the customer's feeling at that moment. So again, it's don't even look at that metric. You're not going to be able to find any valuable intel to help you renew the deal. Okay. The fourth one is the desired outcome. Now, desired outcome is basically the vendors and the customer agree on a common goal and they work toward it. That sounds amazing at first, but desired outcome is very expensive process you need to make. If your average deal size is not over 500K or a million, I don't know why you would do it. Okay, so with the desired outcome, problem with that is it is set up with one or two key stakeholder with a company, with a vendor and company at the beginning of the contract. The problem is the company business initiative or goal evolve over time. The key contact leaves. Like this is a typical example of 2022 and 2023. So many companies lost their champion key contact, and they had to go through this another expensive process of finding a new champion, new desired outcomes, and do that. But if you have a lot of headcount and if you have a thick wallet, do that. Be my guest. But it's not adaptable, it's not scalable, and it's very expensive. So if we look at the old way of doing customer retention, sometimes you'll be like frustrated, like why can't we find a leading indicator for churn and growth that is continuously, adaptable, affordable, and scalable, and just leave and set it and forget, and introducing you to the new way of customer retention. So I believe the best way to solve the churn problem is by preventing it. So if you are a sales-led growth company, your journey can start with your your prospects in the sales pipeline. And I can show you how I do it. So typically during my sales cycle, I would, give customer a noting, like instead of bugging you, getting updates, and, checking with you every week, in order to help you make the educated buying decision on these solutions. I'm going to send you occasional 10-second questions to help you with your experience. Okay, so the idea is you want to gauge the engagement and buying intent and the contact level. So what kind of question would you like to ask them? Okay, so every sales rep probably want to know, like, are we solving a critical problem for the prospects? Okay, people are not shopping for software just for fun. They're solving a problem, right? Do they think we're a fit? How do they think about the pricing we quoted? Are they also considered unloved vendors? Who else do we need to involve in a decision making process that's behind the scenes we don't know? Okay, so I can show you some examples. So for example, I you can zoom in and kind of see here, in this account app flyer, in the period, I think this account I have like 6 or 8 contacts. That's some I talk to, some I never talk to. It's in the shadow. And I received 30 responses from this account alone in the period in the buying cycle. And I want to know, for example, automatically receiving early churn signal is critical to the success of my team. This is a key problem we solve customers. So I want to know, what do they think? So interesting, I showed here the example. The buyer persona think, yeah, this is very important. But hey, the users that I never talked to in the shadow, it's not that important to them. So um, imagine you can get this kind of insight for every one of your sales rep at the contact level, and being able to take action and move your sales needles. That's going to be huge. Okay. I would say the difference between a great salesperson and a good salesperson is that the great one knows more about their prospects and knows who to focus and spend more time on. Okay. All right. If your customers end up buying your software or your product without a human touch, or like you want to involve your customer in as soon as they become a customer. Now, regardless of this customer being a high touch or low touch model, if you implement a Theysaid program, we'll automatically enroll contacts into their own post-sale CPV program, the post-sale customer perceived value program. And the way we do it is we wanted to do it in a way almost like a carbon monoxide detector. I want to set and forget. So for example, if you say, hey, every customer, if their status become existing customer, and maybe we anchored on deal sign date, as long as when we connect directly with your CRM, our system would detect that a new contact was added to that. So you can add them to the flow. You don't need to kind of remember to it. It kind of run it automatically on the background seamlessly without you touch your finger. Again, same thing. We're gonna inform the customers that we're going to ask these 10 question surveys, and we're gonna based on their role, their job title, their role, and their segment. Are they high value customers? Are they low touch onboarding? We're gonna ask the right question to the right people at the right time, and continuously getting a heartbeat of your accounts. And we typically ask questions like 12 to 17 questions throughout the journey, and to understand what customer is doing. Now, you probably were saying, okay, well, you ask customer 10 questions, 12 questions a year. is it too much? Will the customer not answer to it? Like our NPS response rate is really low. We don't want to do it. Okay, we hear you. This what you are describing when customers are not responding to your questions. We call this as survey fatigue. And let me show you. So McKinsey recently done a study on survey fatigue, and I'll show you some highlight here. So a common belief that the survey fatigue is driven by the number of lengths of a survey deployed. Well, that turned out to be a myth. So it's not about this. Consistently, the number one driver of survey fatigue was the perception that the organization wouldn't act on the result. And this is often informed by the past experience. So the key is, as long as you are closing the loop with your customers, they will respond to you, and it's kind of creating a positive cycle of, asking questions, responding. You have like a very natural, positive interaction to show that you listen. You want to. They are heard. They're being cared. You're solving their problem along the way. You're growing with them as a customer. So that's taking the way. So what can you understand? The key thing you understand is like, where in the customer journey are we winning or losing? Are they is the sales expectation set too high, the onboarding experiences, the product knowledge, the technical feature challenges, is the losing the key contacts, competitive threat, pricing challenges, and all that stuff, right? You will know exactly where in the customer journey you're losing and winning, which accounts is losing and winning, which contact is suffering from this. And also look at holistically, you'll be able to see, okay, is the customer affected by this problem most, the enterprise customer or the SMB mid-market customer, and how much dollar is impacted by this thing. So the whole idea is that using this data, getting customer data is great, but getting customer data without action is bullshit, and it's also worthless. You're not going to improve in this anything. So they said, well, quantified certain journey pain point with a dollar value. We will say, okay, this technical challenge is mostly impacted customer in enterprise is valued at 5 million. Okay, this feature one is impacting mid-market. This onboarding experience is impacting SMB. And you, as a company with limited resources, you can decide which one you want to prioritize as a company to prevent churn at scale. Okay, so talking about this. All right, so taking actions on customer feedback. How do we do it? When they set system triggers and the customer responded to that, what we do is they said we'll automatically close the loop with your happy and neutral customers. Like we tell them, thank you for the feedback. We are going to, we listen all the time, keep that coming, right? You need to close the loop with every single one of the customer. If they take time to give you feedback, you need to close the loop. Okay, and we can do it automatically. Also, for the happy customers, we'll send to marketing for case study reference calls. So no more worrying about marketing bugging the customer success team. Like, hey, who can I talk to for a reference call or customer marketing? We'll let you know who in the contact level that will be a good material for that, because all the historical data is there. Now, another one where I talk about upsell and cross-sell. When we detect upsell, cross-sell customers, we do it a couple ways. We proactively ask these questions along the customer journey. And for people who raise a hand, easy. You just send across to the sales team and get them to validate and becoming a sales conversation. The middle ground was just interesting. So when customers who respond negatively to your post questions, oftentimes you feel like, oh, high alert. I need to solve this problem. Number one, you can solve this the churn problem before it was even born. Like customer feel like they're heard. What I also find is that this is the place where actually more upsell was found than the direct question. The reason why is that when you ask the customer about you, even though the customer say, I hate you, I don't like this, I don't like that, it really means that the customers still care about you to respond to it, right? So, for example, we have a customer user testing. They don't have a customer success team under 100K, right? And when we are doing the posting, we discover uh, a lot of champion left the company and they are getting to know user testing, and they didn't have good experience because user testing side didn't know there were new people at it, and they didn't know this person was having bad experience. By spotting that, the salespeople were reaching out, helping them resolve the issue, teaching them how to use the product correctly. The customer have such good experience, then they refer the design team to use user testing again. So this is actually a very organic way to find upsell cross-sell opportunity. It's like resolving a small pain for the customer and uncover them. This is actually creating a trust with the customer. Say, okay, you solved the problem for me so quickly, so easy, and with a human touch. What else can you do for us? Oh, my other team can have this problem. So this is a power of, like they said, keep posting, understanding you're growing with the customers. When the customer have new needs, you are right there to grow with them, right? And then what about the customer who don't respond to that at all? So the way they said question is asked is very specifically tailored for the customer journey, for the role, and we call that the silence, meaning like, I mean, not every contact will respond to every question you ask them. They will answer a few percentage. Typically, our response rate is like twice the NPS score, but then we ask 10 times, 17 times a year. So over the period of 1 year, you're going to get 20x more insights that you don't have before. Imagine what kind of response, what kind of business outcome you can achieve using that. Now, we call the silence, or like dark, one dark on you, which means like all contacts in that account will not answer any question you send to them. That is a sign of risk. They have already decided they don't want to do anything with you, right? That's a risk itself, and we will alert your people to reach out for a manual interaction and re-engage the key contacts. So the idea is we want to help you establish a proactive way to uncover upsell, cross-sell at scale, because proactively finding these upsell, cross-sell is a way of preventing churn. Secondly, measure customer perceived values, um, because customer leave you because they don't get value, and you want to identify least churn signal early in their journey. We want to kill churn before it was born. And lastly, you are finally understanding and fixing the reason for churn. Ultimately, we see improvement in NRR for our customers about 1 to 5% per year. Now, why is this important? Because based on Bessemer Venture Partner study, a 1% increase in net retention enterprise price evaluation multiple by 0.x, which means times 3. If we are able to improve net retention by 3%, you can double the company valuation. And where else can you get a better ROI than this? Okay, where can you find better investment for your CFO in this? Now, this is also super easy to set up. All we want to do is set up and forget. It takes about 2 hours to set up the whole thing. We'll sync up with your CRM, so any contact meet your requirement will automatically enroll in your program. And when we discover risk, it will be notifying the right people, opportunity, right salespeople, and we also automatically close the loop with the customers. It's kind of set it and forget. So using one of our customers' voice is like super easy. Like we don't need to worry about no one is watching the customer. Theysaid is on the back end monitoring it, and I don't need to keep remembering. Oh, I need to send an NPS question, a CSAT question. I need to do a QBR meeting. So you can do all that. And Theysaid is a new way to make it seamlessly, proactively measure your customer's health without human interaction. So going back to this is going back to the old way. This, they said, is a forward leading indicator for growth and churn, and it's because the word come from your customers is the most accurate. And this is continuously adaptable. Doesn't matter if you're high touch, low touch. It's affordable, not like the desired outcome, and at scale. So hopefully this is helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Happy to chat.